Oh my gosh.
That's the reaction we want. Hey guys, today is a very special day because we are making an incredible holiday centerpiece. It's a portobello mushroom, sweet potato, and roasted walnut Nutloaf Wellington, and it's so delicious it'll blow away anyone that you make it for this holiday season. So to start off, we're gonna grab our onions and we're gonna finely slice them. We're gonna turn the pan onto a medium heat and then a drizzle of olive oil. We're gonna drizzle it on in there. What's next is to cut up our garlic. We're gonna get the flat edge of the knife and we're just gonna bash down a couple of times, and then it's super easy to peel. Look at that. Just all in one, just peeled all off. And so as the onions are cooking, we're just gonna gently stir them around. Alright, so these have been cooking down for about 5 minutes, and now we're gonna add the garlic. We don't want to add it too soon because burnt garlic doesn't taste very good. While the onion and garlic is cooking down, we're going to grate up and prepare our sweet potato and cut up our portobello mushrooms. And so I'm keeping the skin on because most of the nutrition in root vegetables are found in the skin. So it's great to have extra nutrition in what we're cooking with. So I've grated the kumara up because it's gonna cook down much quicker rather than being in big chunks, and it's kind of almost a meaty texture when it's grated. So next we're gonna slice up the mushrooms, and these mushrooms are great because they're also very meaty when you cook them down, and when we add tamari to them, a bit of red wine, they just soak up all the flavors and it's a flavor bomb. It's so good. Portobello mushrooms give a really deep kind of umami flavor to this dish. They're really nice and earthy, and I really like how they work. And now we've got our herbs. So we've got some rosemary, some thyme, some oregano, and these are kind of nice festive herbs. They're super delicious and they're gonna add a real depth of flavor to our dish. And I'm just gonna loosely chop these up. Just nicely loosely cut them up because we don't want to damage the herbs. We want to keep them in all their glory. Now, I'm gonna add these herbs to our onion and garlic. They've been cooking down for about 10 minutes. And now it's ready to wake them up with some herbs. And these onions, they're starting to go a little bit dark on some edges, but that's great. That's just extra flavor. They're super caramelized and super soft now. So our herbs have cooked down for about a minute now, and we're gonna add our kumara and our mushrooms. I'm adding the kumara in just a handful at a time. And we add also a generous pinch of salt because that's going to break down the cell wall of the kumara and it's going to nicely soften it up and it'll allow it to cook properly. And now we're going to add our mushrooms. And so I usually would at this stage put a lid over the pan, but since I don't have a lid, I'm gonna make do, and I'm gonna keep stirring it occasionally and maybe add a little bit of water if it starts to dry on the bottom of the pan. But it's starting to smell so good. The mushrooms are starting to melt down. Everything's starting to take on everything's flavor. This is gonna be amazing. Our 3 next flavors we're gonna add is some nutritional yeast. And this is my favorite seasoning. It almost has kind of a cheesy flavor, but it brings such like a boldness, a depth, an umami sense of flavor, and it's so good. Then some tamari or soy sauce, and a little bit of vegan red wine. And we're gonna add these because when the mushroom starts to wilt down, the mushroom can then take on flavors, and these go together so well. So after about 10 minutes, if you had the lid on, it should be cooked by now, but since it's taking a bit longer since I have the lid off, it'll be about maybe 15 minutes. So I have a clean tea towel. It's important that it's clean. I'm gonna lay it down and then tip our nuts on. We've got these deliciously toasted walnuts, and fold it up nice and tight so they don't go everywhere, and then we're gonna bash them. So we've got our walnuts banged up. And we've got a nice varied texture again, which will be great. So after about 15 minutes, this is nicely cooked down, but there's some bits sticking to the bottom of the pan. So to deglaze the pan, to take all the flavor off the bottom of the pan, we're gonna tip in the mushroom's best friend, some tamari. And at this stage, we're also gonna add the red wine. And I got a nice vegan organic red wine here. It's super delicious. We've got about 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Just gonna sprinkle across. This stuff is like liquid gold, really. Now it's time to add our nuts to our mixture. And you can use any type of nut in here. You can use cashew nut, you could use almonds, you could use some peanuts. But I've chosen to use walnuts because I love the texture they give in here. And they're also super high in omega-3s, which are very good for us. Our starch, which is gonna kind of bring it all together. I'm using quinoa, white quinoa, but you could use wholemeal couscous, you could use breadcrumbs. It's just like a starch that'll bring everything together. So once we put this in, it's gonna thicken up. We'll take the heat off and we'll just use the residual heat to stir it all in. Our final ingredient is some lemon juice, and this brings the acid to the dish. It kind of brings all of the flavors together really nicely. So that's why we're adding that. Oh, look at that meatiness. So this is our finished product, which is the filling for our Nutloaf Wellington. It's looking super meaty. It's smelling so good. I can't wait to eat it. Our next step is to get out our puff pastry, and we're gonna make a sausage shape in this and roll it in the puff pastry. I have some oat milk and a lovely brush, because I'm gonna put it on here to help the pastry stick together. So I'm just gonna brush that along there. Stick the pastry up together. So I'm putting the filling onto this baking paper, which is gonna allow me to get it into shape before I put it in the pastry. Oh, it smells so good. If we didn't add any starch like the quinoa, it wouldn't stick together, but it's holding together really nicely. I'm gonna roll this onto the pastry. Roll it over. And I've got a little bit of excess pastry at either end. So we can make a little bit of art out of it, which is nice. I'm gonna cut off the pastry. I'm gonna fold over the ends and press them down. Maybe like even a little Christmas cracker looking thing. And then with the excess pastry, what I like to do is spice the loaf up with some shapes. And so the next step is we're gonna baste with some plant-based milk. I've got oat milk. You can use soy milk, any type of milk. And we're just gonna paint on some milk, because when this bakes, it's gonna crisp it up nicely. With a blunt knife or the back of a knife, I'm just gonna score it. And so now, in a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius, we're gonna put this in for about 25 minutes until it's nicely golden brown. And I'm so excited. This smells so delicious. I can't wait to try it. I love to make this dish because it's so delicious, and the first year I made it was 2 years ago for Christmas, and it blew away my entire family. And when it was sitting there on the table next to the meat, they preferred this, which I was stoked with, and it's just one of my favorite dishes to make. It's such a fun process. While our Nutloaf Wellington is in the oven, I'm making a quick gravy. It's a foolproof gravy recipe. It's so easy and it's so delicious. We want an onion. I'm gonna drizzle in about a tablespoon of olive oil. In the pot goes the onions. So in a bowl, I'm gonna put some veggie stock, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some tamari, and some corn flour. And there we go. There's our gravy. Oh yeah, that is delicious. So it's been about 25 minutes and it's smelling delicious. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time to get our masterpiece out of here. Look at that. Oh, look at the flowers and hearts. That is incredible. It looks so good, it smells so good. And now, the only thing we can do is eat it. Come on, Jess, let's give it a taste. You can go first.
Oh my gosh.
That's the reaction we want. I want to try some. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've really enjoyed making this. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. This is a holiday standout. I hope you blow away anyone you make it for this Christmas. And Jess's reaction was all we needed to see how good it was. But I'll see you next time. Sending you lots of love. Give me some. Kara needs to try some.
It's still my turn.
There you go, bro. I'll just eat this.
Wow. What?
Oh my god.
Can I do that?
Oh my god. Mmm. That is good.
What? Try some.
Get some gravy. Yeah. Put it down. We'll douse it with some gravy.